This is Age of Eon. We are fighting over lands, activating our mighty forces, and all around having a great time. We hope playing this two-player strategy game. We are Nerds of the West, and we have done a teach and play of this game. If you want to go see the game in action, you can go and do that. But right now, we're doing our review. We're going to be telling you about this game so that you can have an idea of what it's about, what it's like to play, and ultimately decide if it might be right for you and your friends. Although in this case, it is mostly a two-player game, you and one friend. And at the end of the day, we're going to put this on our Nerds of the West ranking list. We rank games here, we rate games here, not based on a 1 to 10 objective scale, because that is basically impossible to do, we found. Just, if given the opportunity, what we personally would prefer to play, taking into account setup time, play time, table space, all the little intangibles. I have talked enough. My name is Tom. Reese, what's going on in this game? What's the deal with Age of Eon?
You're going to throw that at me, mate.
What do you do in this game?
All right, so in this game, we probably should have not cleaned this up. In this game, you play as two warring factions trying to fight over control of these lands. And you do that by playing attack cards to increase your attack value over the lands, and then whoever has the higher value at the end of that round wins the land. Whoever wins the lands, wow, you've put me on the spot here. Whoever wins the most lands out of that round wins the round, and then you play until all of your generals, demigods
are dead. If you win the land,
defeated,
you kill the demigod.
Yeah.
Not only is this a game of numbers, because it might look like that just based on what you can see here, a lot of the lands have additional powers on them. So if you play this number 7 into your homeland, it gets additional power. But you won't always be able to play that 7 into its homeland, because you have different command cards that tell you what kinds of cards you can play into each land. And some power cards, attack cards, are going to let you flip other people's cards, and each demigod has its own power that you can activate to then blap cards, flip over cards, interact with the game in different ways. There are 4 different lands, there are 4 different factions, everyone has different powers. Hopefully that gives you an idea. Reese, I did not expect this game to be so brain-busting. I was like, 2-player, strategy, maths, let's go. Not so crazy. The second you have to take into account, all right, I've only got 7 cards, which means I only get 7 actions, which means I might want to start off really slow and force your hand. I might want to flip over your cards as soon as possible so you don't have the power to activate your demigod. I might want to save cards for the end so you can't interact with them. Oh, your faction lets you protect cards. My faction lets me flip cards. Your faction lets you draw extra cards. There are like so many variables in a game with 7 cards.
Yep. It's very rare to see you lost in the tank.
Yeah.
Right? Like, if you go back and watch our gameplay, very much our second game, I got lost in the tank, and then you got lost in the tank. Like, there is...
layers. This game is an ogre.
It's an onion. It's an onion ogre of layers. It's very deep, but I want to say in a satisfying sort of way.
It can be very deep. I want to make that clear. There are some games that you have your 7 cards, and the second an opponent plays a card, you go, I can't deal with that.
Yeah.
And the second you can't deal with that, your opponent knows that you can't deal with that, and they just push that point until they win the game.
Yeah. Which
is totally fine, because rounds take 5 minutes to play.
Yeah. If we didn't have the setup, we would have in out.
You play 7 cards each in 5 minutes. You might activate 4 abilities in that time. And then a round is winning 3 battles, which means a game might take 20 to 30 minutes.
Yeah.
Which, when each round has the opportunity to be either really deep or really not, or somewhere in between, makes it really satisfying, not only to figure out how to beat your opponent, but also like the best way to push the game in certain ways to give you that opportunity. The fact that there are those ways that you can go, all right, I need to get up to 18 power. which means I need to play, all right, probably a 7 and an 8 to get up to there, and then maybe one of my weak cards to get me to 18 power. But the second you play that 7, your opponent drops a 2 on you.
Yep. And
to then flip that 7 over, you don't have that power to activate your ability anymore. And you have to go, all right, does that mean I play my 10, my highest card, as soon as possible, or will they have the 1 to flip that over? If I play my 10 at the right time, that gives me the ability to protect my cards. So can I wait long enough? Or if I wait too long, will they have already won 2 of the lands?
Yeah.
Like
There's so many, like, questions going on. And like I reckon this is like a really good warm-up game, like especially if you're going into a heavy.
I want to be clear, not just a warm-up.
Not just a warm-up game.
You could very satisfyingly just play this all night long.
Yes.
But this is a great get your brain going game.
Yes. This is switch the game on. Perfect situation for me for this game is waiting for people to rock up for Commander. Waiting for people to rock up for a heavy strategy game that we're going to play. Like, get firing.
Get your neurons firing.
Yeah.
Speaking of neurons firing, you likened this to trick taking.
Yes.
This activated that same part of your brain.
Yes. So when I play trick taking games, the thing that I like most about it is that you are playing. You're trying to figure out what sequence you want to play the cards in. Do I go this higher number to try and secure it? Or do I want to try and cheat this card out? Do I want to try and trick them into playing their hand? And while this isn't a trick-taking game, it does have a lot of those elements, which I felt were really interesting and really like scratch my brain in the right way.
I'd be really curious to know if the developer had done that intentionally, because each of the different factions has a different suit associated with it. So green is hearts, blue is diamonds, yellow and red are spades and clubs. So I can definitely see that coming out, and I love that those kind of influences, both. If you're an avid board gamer like we are, you will see those and go, cool. Like it draws that connection between this game and something else and helps you learn the strategy. But if you're not an avid board gamer, if you haven't played a trick-taking game before, which I always say, if you've never taught someone how to play a trick-taking game before, it's incredibly difficult. It's its own language. This game is as simple as, here are the numbers, here are the powers, go. Yeah,
this is actually, you don't even need to know how to play a trick-taking game. Like, it just has that element there. I don't know, it's something really satisfying about playing. I don't even know if satisfying is the right word. There was just, it itched my brain in the right way for me to.
It's that the strategy and the layers are that little bit too difficult, right? Like you know what I mean? When a game is just tough enough that it makes your brain go, burr.
Yeah.
This game hits that point.
Yeah.
There are so many two-player games where it starts to feel samey. This has so much variability between each round, between the different lands that come out, because if it's your homeland, you will get extra abilities there, but also you win if that land is a tie.
Yeah.
And so just that little bit of extra goes, all right, I can play a different way now.
Yeah.
And I think that's what I loved most about this game was each round felt fresh.
Yeah.
Either just because of the variability in your hand, the variability of the lands, and the fact that either you or your opponent is now playing with a different demigod, so there is a different power to take into consideration.
Yeah.
Every single round felt fresh.
Yeah, it wasn't that thing of, well, I've just got to play till he runs down his cards, right? It was very much of, I lost the last game, so my abilities now changed, so I'm now going to play slightly differently. I also played this way last game. That didn't work, so I need to play differently. It's constantly evolving game to game to game to game. And, like, yeah, it wasn't one of those things where even when I lost, I wasn't necessarily disappointed because I was just like, I still have heaps of time to catch up. And that's where it's like, it's also good that you have to go through 3 of your demigods instead of like, oh, it's best of 3. Because I think then that puts a lot of pressure for you to not try and play a different way. Whereas like having to go through all 3 of them to win or lose, you have that extra link there to just quickly, cool, I'm going to play slightly different. My strategy's played. And then your opponent has to then be receptive to that and their strategy has to change, you know? So.
And the art's gorgeous.
The art is really cool. Like, it's really dope.
Not just having different cultural influences on each of the cards, like everything is done very, very strikingly and very, very pretty. Like that's a good looking dragon right there. The designer has done all the art himself.
Oh, really? Awesome.
Which is very, very cool.
Nice.
Some people just have that talent. For a first-time designer...
Me, not so much.
For a first-time designer, very, very cool to see. There's some Kickstarter expansion stuff that we haven't checked out just because we're looking at just the base game today. So, Reese, just the base game. Where would you rank this on our Nerds of the West ranking list? As I said earlier, this is not objective 1 to 10, just if given the opportunity, what you personally would prefer to play. Now, 2-player games, I adore for the opportunity to bring them out with my partner. She and I both thoroughly enjoyed playing this. I don't know how often I would personally bring this out.
Yeah.
Because a 2-player game, personally, I'm looking for something a bit more casual and a bit more fun. That's not to say that this isn't really, really good.
Yeah.
My personal preference for 2-player games is the lighter end of stuff. I like heavy thinking, complicated when I'm playing with multiple people, and this hits that itch for what I want in a game. But 2-player games, I like the casual side. So this game is awesome, but I'm going to put it below Space Base.
Okay.
Because I love the 2-player version of Space Base.
Yeah.
It's not as heavy as Arc Nova. Pyramido just scratched a different itch. Mm-hmm. This game is very cool. So, and that's not to say this is like a 5 out of 10 down here.
Yeah. So I'm thinking about it in a different way where like, so I don't play 2-player games that often. It's mainly with you guys or whatever. But like, man, when you were like Pyramido scratched an itch, that's the thing that's resonating with me, right? That's the thing that makes me want to pull this off the shelf and be like, I want to play more. I want to scratch that itch. Sometimes you just want to have that in-depth strategy, and the fact that you can have that in such a short amount of time. Like, I think a full game is supposed to be 20 minutes, right?
Yeah.
So like, it's very hard to go past. I can see me pulling it out quite often, especially in a more social setting.
I reckon this would be a fun game to bring out at Board Game Night and be like, yo, check this out.
Yeah. Especially if you like overflow numbers, people rock up late, set it up, go. I'm going to go here under Arc Nova, above Pyramido.
I'm going to drop it in the middle of everything. We will re-rank this at the end of the year. Everyone at Nerds who plays games will give their opinion on it and re-rank everything. So we'll see where Age of Eon ends up. I will say one thing I don't think we touched on when at the start of this. This game is incredibly easy to teach.
Yes.
And the layers come out the more that you play it.
Yeah.
Picking it up and just going, numbers here, go, can be incredibly quick.
Yeah. It's like, 10 minutes to read through the rulebook, if that. And then I flicked through the rulebook. Tom then taught me the game. And then basically after you play your first game, the learning is organic through the game itself.
Which is very cool to see. So that is our thoughts on Age of Eon. If you're going to check this out, the Kickstarter link is in the description below. And just, we like it.
That's
all we got to say at the end of the day. We enjoy this. If you're going to check it out, let us know. Otherwise, come and join us live in the future. Let us know if you do check it out in our Twitch and YouTube chat. My name is Tom. We have a Reese.
Hello.
We're Nerds of the West. Thank you so much for watching, and we will catch you next time.
Bye-bye.